Hello.
Welcome back.
I'm Nicole.
And I'm Megan.
And we are the Synchronicity Sisters.
And you can see the top of Shiloh right now because
she's here.
She's doing her thing.
She is.
But anyway, we do lots and lots of things. But basically, we change your brain to change your life. We use a lot of methodologies and things. So if you want to know more, visit our website, binge our podcast, do all the things, or get in touch with us on social media. We always love new people. If you're new, welcome. If you're an OG, we love you. Thank you for being here. And today, we're going to go over...
Hold on. Ladies, if you haven't signed up for our mastermind, we've already launched it. It's on the Stan store. If you have any questions, check us out. Send us an email. But it's popular, so head on over and get signed up. We're starting beginning of May.
Yes.
Okay. Questions or anything?
Yeah. If you have any questions, DM us on Synchronicity_sisters and men.
Yours
TBD,
is coming.
it's coming. But this one is for the ladies.
Hey, ladies. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot about that. So today we're going to talk about everybody's least favorite subject. Well, I don't know. Alcohol might be their least favorite when we bash on that. But today we're going to talk about diet.
We didn't get any haters from the alcohol one yet.
Not yet. No. So let's see. Circa 2017, I started flying for a guy out of DC. And he sent me to nutrition school under a guy named Dr. Eric Berg. If you don't know who it is, he's like the OG of keto. And to this day, he's never been wrong. So we're talking 8 years later. Anytime I either ask him about something or Google one of his videos, I have yet to have him be wrong, which is a pretty crazy statistic. He works basically in keto, but also if you have issues like PCOS or anything, he can tell you supplements and things to use instead of medication. And he was the one that really started to change my perspective on food and drugs and pharmaceuticals. And because he taught me first day of health coach / nutrition training, like our healthcare system is a sick care system and it treats the symptoms. It doesn't treat the source. I'm going to teach you how to treat the source. And I was like, what? And I was a sugar addict. I was skinny fat. Nicole and I have good genetics. So we've stayed skinny in our youth, eating sugar and doing whatever. Like people used to say to me all the time, like, I don't know how you're so skinny and you eat so much sugar. I was a complete sugar addict, total wreck. And actually when Dr. Berg he didn't force me, but you can't really work with him and continue to eat sugar because you realize like just how toxic it is and how it's literally like Satan in your body. If you want to just rot from the inside out, then just continue to eat artificial sugar. Talk about artificial white sugar, not like sugar and fruit.
I mean, Hitler literally burned off the byproducts of sugar and killed millions of Jews. So just if you really need something morbid to get you off of sugar, the byproduct of burning white cane sugar or white sugar is lethal. So there you go.
The gas chambers were actually.
It was literally white sugar being burned at high degrees, and the byproduct of that molecularly suffocated and killed a lot of people. And it was really nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty time in the world. But crazy that it was sugar.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Yeah.
We did a Substack on it. If you want to know more about like sugar and go in depth, there's a 3-part series in our Substack on sugar. And we are microdosing coaches, and we tell people all the time, you can sit there and say, it's not working. It's like, well, how much sugar are you eating? How much alcohol are you drinking? Here's the thing. It's like our base level is 2 things you have to ask yourself. Do I believe in a power greater than myself? And what am I eating? Because if you don't get those 2 things straight, the rest of your mental health journey is going to be a freaking shit show. And I'm not saying that you have to be perfect. Like Nicole and I eat Crumbles cookies sometimes. Like,
we were just talking about how good the chocolate chip one was.
I never went back to eating the way that I did before I worked with Dr. Berg. When I came off sugar, I literally had a migraine headache for almost a week because my body was so addicted to sugar. I felt awful. It was unbelievable But then when I came off of it, it was like the brain fog cleared. I had so much energy. My body, like I automatically lost like 6 pounds just from inflammation. It was just wild how all of the sudden, you know, in private aviation, and we were working like 20-hour days sometimes. And before that, I would get really exhausted and like irritable. And then after, it was like I had so much energy, and yeah, I sure would get tired, but it was just so different feeling, and I wasn't cranky because my blood sugar wouldn't crash. When you're on ketones versus sugar, like glucose, you just function differently. You don't have blood sugar crashes, and you don't get like, you don't want to, I mean, we do also intermittent fast. I don't intermittent fast for super long periods of time because we're women. We can't fast the same way men do. That's one of my only arguments. And Dr. Berg does facilitate that a little bit, but I think he could do better. That's the one thing that I have found with him that I'm kind of like researching more on, like women fasting versus men and the differences and things, because women cannot fast the way that men can. Just biologically, we don't handle it the same way. I do not believe in women fasting for long periods of time. I think it causes hormonal issues and things that it doesn't cause in men. So that's just my own with working with women and things. I don't recommend that. I actually think it makes women crazy, especially when you're on your period and stuff. So also like understanding what part of your cycle you're in as a woman is really important to know, like, because if you're on your cycle, right, you actually need to be eating more and not fasting because your body's already depleted.
You should be on higher fats, more fats.
Should be eating more. But you know, the thing is like we get pushback all the time because diet. We work with people on every aspect of their life. There's really not a part that we don't work on, because every aspect of your life, if you look at something under a microscope, is going to show you flaws in other things. It's kind of like if you look at a rock underneath a microscope, it actually looks and has the same molecular makeup as a mountain. Right? So it's like everything looks the same. If you just look at one aspect of your life, you're going to be able to see the chaos or see the flaws. It's kind of like if your room's a shit show, then your unconscious is a shit show. So it's all the same, right? Discipline in eating is discipline in every other aspect of your life. It all is related. You can't look at one part of your life without looking at the whole thing, but you can look at one part of your whole life and understand the whole thing. So, if you have a problem with dieting, you have a discipline problem, not an eating problem. So, and it all goes back to sugar, because sugar is, I think, one of probably the biggest addiction in America. We're at I think over a 60% obesity rate at this point. We're at an over 40% obesity rate in children.
The kid obesity
30% of children are now diabetic.
Yep.
And not the like inherited type that I've eaten too much sugar. So
my pancreas is burned out by the time I'm 10.
Yeah. It's just a very dangerous game that we're playing. But also, like, if you've ever seen kids hyped up on sugar versus the kids that don't eat sugar, it's like night and day. And even in myself, when I stopped eating sugar, and then I remember I think I was on vacation with you or something, and I ate a piece of cheesecake and I could feel the sugar move through my body, and I physically got flushed and like my heart started racing, and I was like, holy shit, because I hadn't eaten it in I think almost a year. Because I went, like when I went keto, I felt so good that I just was like on it for a very long period of time. And again, I don't think it's one of those things where you have to be like crazy. I don't believe in like, never eat sugar ever again. I think that's a little bit insane,
but there does come a point when you do clean up your body and then you eat sugar, you feel like absolute shit, and then you never want to do it again.
Yeah, I know, it's dry.
It's like a true like moment.
I get
of
sugar
like,
hangovers.
Yeah, I mean, even the other day when we went up, we had a cousin in town and we went and visited, and like we had we had gotten Crumbles cookies for her daughter, and like even just like. I think we ate like a sliver of a sliver, like a quarter of a cookie. And I could even feel like the sugar rush. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, wow, I'm like volatile and so tired.
Yeah.
So, it's also one of those things like you start to become very attuned to your body and you start to become more and more aware of it. And it's kind of cool because like at least in my journey, I feel like when you start discipline with food, and this discipline with food is not, and it's actually super crazy because the industry I used to work in, you know, it was there. All of the women around me were constantly on a yo-yo diet. Like, I remember it just like everyone was like, someone was like over here doing this diet and someone over there was doing this diet and someone was doing this like weird portion diet. And I was like, I feel like half of you guys are just like starving yourself. And then when Meg went and trained with Dr. Berg and she like taught me all this stuff, I was like, oh, and then I started doing it and I started to realize like, and I never have really been, I've never had portion problems, I guess. Neither one of us has ever like overeaten. Like when I'm full, I move on with life.
I did when I had bulimia, I would like binge eat and then throw it all up.
But post eating disorder era,
yeah, no,
you didn't have that issue because there was a lot connected to that eating disorder. Mm-hmm. But I noticed like when you're eating keto too, you become very like, it's not about the calories. It's not about the like how much you're eating. Like your body literally is like, I'm full, and you stay full for an extended period of time. If you're doing it correctly. Yeah. And, you know, it's really, you know, and I can only speak from my own perspective. And like, I've always had because I have adrenal body type and I've always kind of struggled with my blood sugar. When I'm on keto, I have the clearest mind. I don't have the volatile emotions. I understand my feelings. I can communicate clearly.
Your ADHD?
My ADHD is literally gone.
Way better, yeah.
Like, it's like a morsel of the fact. Things get done. I'm so clear and precise. And, like, even in just, you know, the little things, and you don't eat that much. I mean, you do, but you don't eat as much. And I know that is such a mental thing for people of like,
I eat way more.
Oh my God, I'm eating so much fat. And it's like, fat does not make you fat. And
no, it doesn't.
The thing that's really fascinating about this new, and it's not even new, the keto has been around a long time. You can trace it clear back to our ancestors. They didn't call it keto, I promise. They were out.
They called it normal eating.
They called it hunter and gatherer. They called it, oh, that green bush is not going to poison me, and that is currently in season, and I just killed an elk, or I just killed a buffalo. But if you really look at ancestrally, we didn't have sugar. Like, there was not, maybe berries. But
well, berries are on a different glycemic index, though. That's not.
But I'm saying like really that's count. Literally like the only thing like I can think of, because outside of, you know, generationally,
yeah,
ancestrally, they didn't eat sugar. There was no sugar.
Fruits.
But fruits and berries, like, they're different.
Fruits are not different.
Now they're different because they've been genetically so modified.
No, berries are on a different glycemic index. You can eat them and not kick you out of ketosis.
Okay, Megan,
about a cup a day,
right?
But fruit will kick you out of ketosis. Okay. Like, one apple has an average of like 19 grams of sugar. It'll kick you out of ketosis for 2 or 3 days.
Well, I think average banana,
that's glucose.
The average banana has like 32 grams.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the bananas gross me out, but anyways.
Yeah,
it's
like
a thing.
As a rule of thumb, if you're going to eat fruit, eat it separate from anything else.
No apples and peanut butter together. Can't do that.
Because when you eat like apples and peanut butter together, you're putting a protein fat base with sugar, and it actually spikes insulin 200 times what it normally does. So if you're going to eat sugar, eat it by itself. Don't eat it with a protein or a fat, because it actually causes diabetes faster. Essentially, it causes insulin. And if you don't know what insulin is what the pancreas makes to control blood sugar.
Right. And they store, and then glucose is what sustains in the body that yo-yos, and that's kept in the liver. But the body only holds like 1 day of glucose, correct?
It depends on the person.
Okay. Yeah. One to 2 days, give or take. But
that's why it can take you to day or 2 to 3 to get into ketosis, because of the stored
got to get rid of the glucose.
Got to get rid of all the sugar.
So glucose is what is stored for 1 to 2 days. And so Dr. Berg has this, he always, I love listening to him argue, and Megan always laughs too, because he'll always say, okay, well, if the body was made to store fat, ketones, and, you know, body's fat storage, and only 1 to 2 days of glucose, who wins? you're going to want to sustain off fat longer period of time if you go through a period of time where you're not going to have food, aka fasting. So,
aka we would be dead if we didn't have fat storage. So he's saying that the body was made to run off of fat or ketones, not sugar. If our bodies ran off sugar because it only can store for a day, we'd all be dead.
Yeah. So, you know, and that's a big... Go ahead.
Ancestors didn't have Walmart.
Or bags of sugar or all the things, fast food restaurants. Hey, I just need a drive-through. Can I get a, half a pound of buffalo? Anyway, so in a lot of our work, the main problem a lot of people come to us in the very beginning is, well, I have this and that, they list their problems, anxiety, OCD, I'm struggling in my relationship. And we break down, like Megan said, microscopically, we look at it and say, okay, well, the first step is let's look at your diet. And they're atrocious, most of them. And then we break it up. Megan works with them in depth to pull it apart and be like, hey, let's look at this, because sugar and psilocybin are not friends. They don't do well together.
Sugar's not friends with anybody.
Sugar is a destructive molecule in the body, period.
Alzheimer's, heart attacks, liver disease, pancreatitis,
and
it's all sugar.
They're even proving now, like, certain levels of glucose. Like, if you have high levels of glucose in the brain, it's literally a form of mental illness.
Well, it's dementia or Alzheimer's.
Because you can't sustain, you can't tap into, you don't understand how you're feeling, you can't think clearly. So bottom line is that when you clean up your diet, then you're able to really dig deep and look at the work, because yes, your childhood imprinted on you. We talk about that all the time. From the age of 3, you're scripted into it. But also as an adult, you can change that. They have proven it. We have proven it. We are walking everyday life of, if you change your diet and you're willing to become more self-aware, first step is your diet. Because if you can change your diet and you can have discipline around your diet, I promise you can change your entire life. Psilocybin will help. Megan and I can guide you. But if you can't find discipline and, you are a sugar addict or a whatever addict, unfortunately, like, you can't change your life or your brain, at that matter, because it's so high on sugar.
I mean, it's essentially like we take our car to the mechanic, right, and make sure that it's running okay. We get the brakes done. We do all these things. And yet we don't take care of our bodies the same way. That's always really frustrated me. And I was that way, right? We don't move our bodies. We don't feed our bodies. That's like putting diesel in a gas car when you're putting sugar in your body over and over and over again, and wondering, like, why it's malfunctioning. And then the doctor's putting you on high blood pressure medication, Well, high blood pressure is also sugar. It's also usually a vitamin K deficiency, which is a vitamin D deficiency.
Which is best friends with vitamin D.
And it's just really interesting because you see the same problems over and over again. And, body types, there's 4 body types. And if you go way back in our podcasts, I went through every single body type. But that's the first thing you need to identify is, like, where's the weakness in my body? Because we all have one, right? Nicole's an adrenal body type. I'm an ovary body type. Secondary, pancreas body type, because of sugar in our environment. I mean, not even in our environment, sugar in our food chain, right?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
It's just crazy to me how, like, sugar, kids' lives revolve around sugar, and I do my best not to judge, but it's crazy to go out to dinner with friends or things and watch what they feed their children and then wonder why their children, like,
are bouncing out the wall or need ADHD meds.
Crazy, right? They're drinking, like, they're chugging Coke, and then they're eating, like, pizza, and then they're having ice cream for dessert, and you're just like, you just serve no purpose for your body other than, yeah, sure, it's fuel, but there's no nutrition. And we don't eat to put nutrition in the body. We just eat to fuel. We're not taught to actually nurture the body. And actually, most obese people have a nutrient deficiency, which is so crazy to me. We'll take vitamins and stuff. You just pee those out. You have to get vitamins from food. You can't get them. That, like, when I look at all of the vitamins in a store, like the multivitamins or this and that, I'm like, this is such bullshit. Your body literally can't process it. So you have to get, you need veggies and things. And that's why we're terrible at eating vegetables, right? Nicole and I are not good at this. I'll be the first one to tell you that
we're getting better.
We're getting better, but we make a smoothie every morning with lots of greens and things. it's simpler than you think, and you're going to feel 100 times better. And I could harp on this all day because it's obviously like one of my great loves, and actually the beginning of my work in this. Then it turned into mental health after I first started working in the body and in keto, and treating the cause instead of the symptom. So, you know, this was my origin of like stepping back into really, or not really stepping back, stepping into what health really was, and not just what the pharmaceutical companies or our doctors tell us. You know, food nurtures our body, and it is quite literally everything. If you don't have a good diet and a good relationship with a power greater than yourself, then in a lot of ways, sorry, not sorry, you're up shit's creek, and I and nobody I know can help you. My mentor can't even help you.
Big Pharma can help you. They'll give you lots of drugs.
You know, and
You'll
I see
be a part of a system.
I see this so much in the dating world, right? It's like, you know, you either get overweight people, which is fine, but like that tells me a lot about where you're at consciously. I mean, maybe if you're working towards something, you still might be heavy while you're working through it, but it is an addiction. So that tells me something. You're addicted to sugar. You might be a wonderful person. All of these things, just like alcoholics might be wonderful people, but there is an addiction there, or some sort of misunderstanding or not like comprehending what's going on. And then there's the other side where it's like men worship the gym and they're atheist or agnostic. And both sides, it's like you see so much of that in our generation and in the dating world. And I'm like, this is really interesting because they basically go hand in hand in my book. Both are unconscious. Both are like, just, there's some work that needs to be done. And I have been there. I've never been overweight, but I've been a sugar addict, and I've definitely probably had phases where I was agnostic in my life and just like didn't think about God or have my understanding of God present in my life because I just wasn't in a great space. But anyway, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think also, you know, the modern day pyramid and, you know, my plate.
Oh, that
and
shit's bullshit.
all of this stuff. You know, when I was doing.
Eat your grains.
Oh, so I just want to make it really clear. I read this book. It was called Good Fat, Bad Fat back in the day. And it was the doctor that came out originally in the early 70s, and he surrendered his medical license because he was the guy who originally was behind the whole dollop movement that fats were bad. So he published this whole book. It's called Good Fat, Bad Fat. And I remember reading that book I think I read it in like 2014. And I remember being like 2015. I remember being like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, so needless to say, this guy ended up surrendering his medical license because he was in so much guilt because the scientific evidence never actually proved that fat was bad. It actually proved that fat was good, and he was curing people in his clinic by high fat, high protein diets. This is, mind you, like in the early 70s, 80s, way before like the Atkins keto trend even happened. So anyways, he was talking about butter and sour cream and like all this stuff and this whole like half fat stuff.
Love butter.
And how actually it was proven in the scientific research study that the low fat was actually causing more harm to the body than the high fat content. And so, you know, we're not coming from, oh my God, don't eat this, but I hear it all the time. And I have sat in many nutritional classes, traditional nutrition classes. When I got my health and wellness coaching certification, I remember there was a whole like solid 6 weeks where they talked about my plate. My plate is so much bullshit. It is insanity. Because
clean your plate, my plate.
So it's my plate. It's this myplate.com. And what you do is you go in and you put in how many carbohydrates and how many calories. And it portions out the plate based on portions, based on the pyramid.
Why did you never tell me about this?
Oh, well, probably because I was so traumatized and angry about it. And so, you know, and it'll tell you like you need more grains or you need more this. But the fat, the biggest part about that was so triggering to me. And I remember bringing this up to my professor, and he's like, well, we can't recommend high fat to our clients. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, okay, so we're pretty much keeping them sick, like more sick. Even if the doctor prescribed it to work with us as a coach, we can't tell them.
What did your professor look like?
He was skinny.
Was he skinny?
But he had no hair. Yeah. And he loved Raising Cane's. He would talk about it all the time, which actually that restaurant like grosses me out.
So he was just skinny fat.
He was 100% skinny
He had
fat.
a fatty liver, but he was just...
Yeah. And fatty liver doesn't just come from alcohol. Fatty liver comes from... Sugar. So it was really fascinating. And I'm sharing this story with you because it was what I had learned. So I knew the knowledge from Megan when I did this training. And then having gone through multiple like pre-medical classes and all this stuff, and they never actually talked about, I remember always asking the question like, okay, well, what is a heart attack caused by, or what is it? And they'd always say cholesterol or fat. Like there was never a reason why. So what actually happens in the body, and you can Google this now, there's many videos on YouTube now that actually show what happens. So they don't say it in the videos, but what happens is when you consume sugar tears up the arteries and causes very small little wounds.
It's like sandpaper.
It's like sandpaper. Yeah, sandpaper on the arteries.
Sugar scrub.
Yeah, exactly. You sugar scrub them. Well, obviously they're very delicate, and we don't want to be sugar scrubbing something that's delicate. So then,
for real,
when you are not eating healthy fats,
you wouldn't sugar scrub your coochie
to your arteries, or your dick, or your ball sack. You then insert bad.
Sorry.
You're not eating good fat, right? You're not eating what we consider good fat is avocado, butter, cottage cheese, cream cheese,
bacon,
steak, all of these, right? Instead, they say, oh, no, stay away from those. And then they go into things with high cholesterol. Okay, well, cholesterol, we'll go on another podcast and debunk all of the cholesterol bullshit because that shit is a bunch of bullshit as well. Anyways, so you're not eating good fat, you're eating bad fat, fried chicken, a whole bunch of sugary drinks, French fries that have been fried in shitty seed oil, all of this stuff that's not real. A lot of it is gluten-based, sugar-based, Karo, corn syrup, red dyes. So you're eating those because they told you that the good fats were bad. Okay. So now you're eating those bad fats. Well, all of those little itty-bitty wounds that you just tore on the side of your arteries, it's now slowly all of those pieces of bad fat are sticking to it.
Even good fat can
good
stick.
fat.
Anything can stick in
Anything that is fat, like chunky based, ideally, is getting stuck there. So what's happening is that you're eating this sugar, it's tearing up your arteries, then you eat fat. Well, fat, it's like clogging a drain. Okay, well, of course, you're not going to pour beef fat down your drain over
Especially
time.
when you have our hair in it.
Yeah, it gets into it. So... what the point of this is that sugar is the root cause of majority of things, whether it's mental, physical, all of that. We can trace it down to 9 times out of 10, it's a sugar issue, whether it's internally, like you have a heart attack or you have high blood pressure or something like that.
It's a sugar problem.
10 out of 10. Megan is correcting me.
Well,
so
no,
I hope that visualization really, really like imprinted on your brain. So next time that you consider eating sugar. And this is also why Megan talks about eating sugar by itself. And then how many hours do you wait?
At least 2.
You eat, okay, so if you eat your main meal that's heavy in fat, wait 2 hours and then consume your sugar. Or consume your sugar and then wait and then... so that it clears everything. So nothing is just passing through, getting stuck on all of this stuff biologically.
Well, that's not about getting stuck. That's about the pancreas.
Yeah. Well, but if you're passing all of that together, it does get stuck.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all... if you let the body clear of one, then it can... yeah.
Okay.
I mean, science.
Follow the science.
That's what they say.
Sometimes.
I mean,
everything that we do is scientific. It's just actually based off fact because we actually have studied things versus, made up statistics because,
Yeah, and if you want more information, Dr. Berg has a huge website. He has a massive YouTube channel that has
he's my favorite
He
person.
has like 1 million videos.
Oh, for sure. And it's if you look on my YouTube, it's just like Dr. Berg video, Dr. Berg video, Dr. Berg video, Dr. Berg. I love him. He's
Well, and he's not only like changed your life, he's changed a lot of our clients' lives. Like he's a genius. He used to be a chiropractor, and then he went into functional medicine.
He's changed our clients' lives because we use his work.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of my mentors.
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely like diehard Dr. Berg fan. I don't like fangirl over people in Hollywood, but I totally fangirl.
You're definitely a fangirl of Dr. Berg.
I'm like, have you heard of Dr. Berg? Have you Googled Dr. Berg?
Well, and also the other thing too is that he has some of the best, cleanest supplements we've ever found.
Yes.
They are probably $5 to $10 more. But
they don't have heavy metals.
They don't have heavy metals, and they're U.S. manufactured, and they're clean. And the cool thing about Dr. Berg I really appreciate is that when he can no longer source good product, he actually takes it off the market, and then you can't get it for a little while until he finds quality to replace. So I'm trying to think of what that one product was he had for a long time.
Oh, his kale shake.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Anymore.
Yeah, because he couldn't source it at a decent price point, so he just took it off the market.
Yeah,
which was
his shakes.
I mean, it was great when it was existing, but he and he can back everything. And I know I've taken multiple different like magnesium supplements and stuff like that. Dr. Berg's stuff does not even come close to the adrenal support. His adrenal support and his magnesium night supplement are literally the best things I've ever taken. And the gallbladder supplement for when you're eating high fats. But anyways, so that was like a crash course on sugar. If you have any questions, please comment your concerns, because I'm sure this one is really going to trigger some people. I love triggering people about diets.
Well, it's just hard. I mean, I get it because it's the addiction that's most accepted in our world.
I mean, let's be real. I love a good pad thai and a crumble cookie.
Yeah, but that's not the problem. The problem is that unhealthy is being, it's just
glorified.
Yes. You know, it's like I was watching the other day, it was like someone was talking about Lizzo. I love Lizzo. I've been to one of her concerts, but they're like, she's a 10 out of 10. Okay, like
she can eat a whole pizza.
She's beautiful,
and she talks about it.
She's obese, and glorifying being unhealthy is not something I'm okay with. You know, it's funny that like I was too fat to be a model, right? Which is crazy because I was like 100, and they were like, you need to be skinnier, and I was like, I'm skinny.
And you're literally 114 pounds
at that point, yeah. And then now it's like we have all of these plus size models and things like that, and again, I totally get that women come in different shapes and sizes, but I don't believe in unhealthy representations being glorified. Like, that's not, if you're a curvy woman and you got junk in your trunk and like all of the things, but you're a healthy BMI, I'm totally fucking down with that. But when you're like 400 pounds and 5'4", I have a problem with that.
Well, but also
that's
now
not healthy.
Our culture is not just glorifying it. They're also selling a very toxic drug, Ozempic.
Because everybody actually wants to be skinny, but just lies. And
then Ozempic is now causing severe issues because of the way it...
going blind.
Yeah. Metabolically, what it does in the body. I mean, I've listened to many, many, many podcasts on Ozempic, and it completely changes your entire gut hormones. But guess what else can just change your entire gut hormones? Not eating sugar.
Well, but people don't have discipline.
No, it's an addiction. I mean, I get it. I totally get it because I've been there. It's an injection.
I'm not doing it.
So, and I understand. I even remember early on in college, I remember I was in this math class and I had this great math professor, and he was like, yeah, I used to be type 2 diabetes, and then diabetic, and I stopped eating sugar, and now I don't have to be on insulin anymore. And I remember, like, honestly, weird. I didn't know anything about any of this. Like, it was, like, back in 2000, like, it was, like, right after I graduated high school in 2007. And I just remember being like, what? I'd never heard of anything like such thing, right?
Of course not.
And he was like, yeah, and he was like, I used to drink like 4 Red Bulls a day, and I'd, have a Snicker bars for lunch and this and that. And he's like, I started eating, oh my God, I started eating, eggs and meat. And I just remember being like, whoa, like that's so cool. This guy like literally cured himself. And it's doable. You can do it, but you have to be really you have to be willing to do it when there's a lot of things that are enabling you from doing it. So Just like your relationships and your communication and all of it. The work is hard, but the work is worth it.
It's not work. It's a change in lifestyle.
And it's a lifestyle adjustment.
I would not say it's work. It's a commitment.
Yeah. And the cool thing is when you start to change, people around you start to change.
Because work ends, commitments don't.
That's true. You're right.
No, I just want to reframe that because everyone's like, when we use the word work, I even feel like that sounds exhausting. But when I think of just like when I'm committed to something and I'm dedicated to it,
yeah,
then it's just the way my life is.
Well, but also like if you're right, because if you're in the work frame, it's a 9 to 5. So you're disciplined from 9 to 5. And then after that, you're not. Yeah.
Like I'm trying to work easy in my life.
But right now we're working hard.
No, I'm working easy.
We're working easy to work.
I'm committed.
Even easier. Anyways, if you're on YouTube, like us, comment, subscribe. We definitely are over there growing. We're doing good. We're in like almost 40 subscribers. Crushing it. If you are following us on Apple or Spotify, thank you so much for being there. It's been there. We've been there for a while. But also rate the show. It always helps us. It helps us a lot to keep the show going, but also in general, just with the charts. And did I miss anything else? Oh, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, head over to Synchronicity_Sisters. If you're interested in any of our courses, Stan Store, which is on the link tree above, that will, oh yeah, well, you know, it's in the link tree. If you go down, it'll say free, we have a free course, but also courses. It'll all be right there for you. Masterclass sign up is there. We have spots currently still available. Great deal for the amount of content. I'm just saying, this is like the most
you get to hang out
epic.
with us.
This is the most epic deal
you get
because
one-on-one time with us.
Megan literally put this mastermind together of the 10 years of her healing journey, like all of her stuff, all of her mentor, everything, in 12 weeks. Like, it is so much information. It's epic. So for $300, it's epic. Just for the record.
It's a very good deal to work with us.
Yeah, it's a super good deal because let me tell you, I don't know if we'll ever do this again. Quite frankly, probably not. But maybe at this price point. So head over there, check it out, ladies. It's all about you for the mastermind this round. Men, stay tuned. And until next time, bye.